Welcome back to the Hidden Dagger podcast. We are on episode 5, and we are joined here by the one and only John Champion. He's a software developer. You've lived in Raleigh your whole life?
Whole life.
He also not many people. I feel like there are not many people who have lived in Raleigh their whole lives.
No, everybody sees to have been born somewhere else.
Yeah, it's a growing city. And I feel like everyone here is like from some other place. A bunch of, relocated Yankees.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's more Cary.
We are missing someone. Our fellow co-host Joshua woke up under the weather this morning, so he will not be joining us. So we'll have to go on without him. But yeah, really excited to have John. Not only, as I said, he's a software developer. We can look and talk about that a little bit. And he flies planes. You're going for is it called just a private pilot license?
Yeah, private pilot license.
Yeah.
Top Gun theme playing loudly in the distance.
Yeah, I'll play that music.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's start with software developing. Is that something you've always wanted to go in?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always been into video games, and that is what got me into it.
I love that.
Just wanting to learn to code, wanting to learn to make games, and then figuring out, wait a second, it's not making the games, it's not the games, that's the fun part, it's the coding.
It's the making of them,
That's
I just got hooked on
it. That's interesting because I like to come up with ideas for games, and I kind of fiddle around with very simple game creation software, so I can't do the coding part. I actually like to come up with kind of the stories and like concepts and stuff for the games, and that's what I like about games, is that they're kind of like movies, but you can play them. They're also, I mean, most of them, they're like art, they got stories. And so it's interesting that the story part is my favorite part, but it's cool that the actual functional part is the part that you're into.
Yeah. I mean, because you made that, you can tell us, you made a chess app, right?
Yeah, I did have a chess app on the web right now.
Yeah, you should all check it out. What's it called? Chess?
It's openchess.app.
Openchess.app.
Yeah.
Nice and simple. Not too complex, right?
Nice and simple. Yeah, I mean, that was an attempt to make a web app that was as dynamic and as app-like as possible, but that ran on the web. So you can install it on your home screen, and it works just like any other native app would. It has its icon and everything.
That's nice.
So
yeah.
Usually when
check it out.
Yeah. However, usually when I click on something that says .app, a bunch of windows pop up on my computer and say that they have now taken all my information hostage. So anything that has a anything on it, I don't always click.
It's very simple. You literally just
I know,
and you're writing a game, right?
Yeah.
No,
It's a website. Okay. It's a web app.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'll use stuff that's safe.
Yeah. So how old were you when you first really got into coding? Like how early? Were you high school, middle school?
I was 12. I was in middle school at the time.
Nice.
And that was with C++.
C++.
All the way back then. Probably the worst language to start with.
Yeah. And then you just started that, and you've been hitched on ever since.
Yeah, well, after that, I mean, I kind of realized, okay, maybe I can start with iOS development.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of took hold. I made a couple of games in high school for the iPhone.
Yeah.
And then I got into web development. And that's where I think it's really interesting, because there's so much to web development.
Yeah.
iOS is neat and all, but at a certain point, you've done most of what you want to do in that. But with the web, there's so much. There's so much you can do with that.
Yeah. That's impressive. And that's what you do as a career now, right?
Yeah, I work for NC State.
Okay.
I develop web applications for them. And I really like that.
That's cool. So if someone was getting into that, right? Do they have to go to college for that? Or is that something they can do all on their own?
You can do it all on your own. I did it all on my own.
On your own.
You just have to want to do it.
Yeah, it's all about
It's just like playing an instrument.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long to learn how it works, but it takes a very long time to get used to it and to get good at doing it.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So wait, you said you basically taught yourself how to code, and then I guess in order to get a job, you just have to get the certification once you know how. What? No,
No.
They just hire that. They just say, "Oh, he's young and says he's good at computers. Let's hire him."
Well, you really just have to kind of prove that you can do it.
Oh, okay.
I have a portfolio.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When I did my interview, I just kind of showed off what I was working on at the time, and it was a 30-minute interview, and I got hired 3 hours later.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really all it takes. You can have a degree.
It's too bad.
The degree doesn't really mean a whole
computers.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel like so many
Otherwise,
people
I'd be able to just get a job.
Go to colleges, for just meaningless degrees. It's like, okay, cool, you got the degree, but at some point, it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, well, I think there's a place for college.
There is, yeah.
I think
slowly
college
backing
is great.
away here.
It's great for a well-rounded education. If you want to be a well-rounded, wiser individual, it's great for that. But if you're going to learn how to do a job, it's less effective. If you want to learn how to do a job, you should go to a trade school.
Yeah.
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 And that's what I should have done.
But yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like for a long time, like our parents growing up, it's always like everyone went to college. That's just what you did.
Yes.
You go to a 4-year degree college in something, But I feel like as more and more people are realizing that that's not the only way. You don't have to go to college and spend all this money on some degree that may never help you. Now, if you want to go to college, if you're into engineering or a doctor or something like that, obviously, yes, you need college, and go to college. It's important. But I mean, like STEM. How many years, John, would you say it took you to master it?
Oh, it took me a very long time.
Very long time.
But I'll say this: it speeds up if you're working with somebody else. So back in high school, I came across some people who were into this as well, and we did it together. That's nice. We all learned so much so quickly because we were doing it together. Mm-hmm. If you're doing it on your own, it's going to go very slow.
Yeah, because that way you can sort of hold each other accountable in the sense that when one's like, do you have meetups and stuff?
Yeah, all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
because you can hold each other because I feel like if you make a point, if you're on your own, it's very easy to lose the just lose the drive and lose the passion for it. But if you together as a group, drive. That's very cool. So it did take some time. It's not something that someone could just learn tomorrow and in a few months be great at it. It takes some years.
It takes some years, but it accelerates. Yeah. So I mean, just a few years ago, I switched to web development from iOS.
Yeah.
And I was able to pick that up real quickly, insanely quickly. But before that, I mean, it took years just to get used to the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, as you said, learning an instrument. When you think about an instrument like something complex like a guitar, from afar, it seems really tricky, right? But if you take it step by step, break it down, and learn little by little over time.
Oh, it's still tricky even when you do that. I play guitar.
Yeah.
I'm caught in the middle.
I'd love to play an instrument.
Yeah.
I want to do that someday. But
what do you want to play? Which one?
Oh, the piano.
I used to play a little bit of that, and I still have the knowledge base from it of basically how music works, and it helps me when I'm writing songs, but probably couldn't, sit down on that thing and play much other than just I
feel like the piano is it's always the bass,
It is.
So you learn
that's
how to read
that's
notes.
literally what it is.
That's where everyone starts.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's such a versatile instrument. I mean, you're learning to play a keyboard.
Yeah.
And that keyboard can be a piano. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
I think the greatest instrument in the world is a pipe organ.
Oh.
And it's a pipe organ.
Oh, yeah. They literally used to call it the king of instruments back in the day. It was like the ultimate. And you can...
What is it again? Maybe I'm stupid, but...
Pipe organ.
It is a one-man orchestra.
It is.
It can make all the sounds you want.
You have it's like a Baroque version of a synthesizer. You have all these different settings that you can use. You can make it sound like bells or birds or something
Yeah. So
I'm sure there's
have
videos
tons
of what it
pipes
can do.
Yeah.
It has tons of pipes. Each pipe makes its own sound, like a cello or a clarinet or whatever you want. And you have stops that are on this organ that you can make certain pipes activate and not activate depending on which keys you're pressing.
Wow.
And so you could just choose to enable them all.
Plus your feet.
I feel
plus your feet, yeah.
Is this something that probably takes a long time to get good at?
Oh, yes, it does. There are people that it's a whole career and you train forever to do it. I used to go to First Pres in Columbia, and like them getting a new organist was like a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something you want to learn, John, or just piano?
Well, I mean, piano would be a precursor.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to play the pipe organ, but the problem is you really can only play one where there is one.
Yeah.
And really, only churches and certain universities have them.
There are not many, yeah. Whereas piano's a lot more common, yeah. I learned, me and my siblings, we all started piano, and one by one, I just quit. And my parents finally let me. And I sort of regret it, but I also, some of the instruments that I think would be cool, violin.
Oh, yeah.
Listening to violin music, it's just, it feels so, it looks at least, and sounds so graceful, Just put it up, and some of the most amazing sounds, but.
Yeah, the key is just to want to learn how to do that.
I feel like you could take that application to anything in life. The motivation, where from waking up early to go on a run, or go to the gym, it's all about, do you want to do it, and motivating yourself to do it. Because I firmly believe that if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish that, no matter what it is.
Totally agree.
And if you want to do, if I want to become an astronaut. I feel like when you're a kid and people ask you what you want.
Oh yeah,
an astronaut's always one of the things to say. Oh, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be this. I want to be that. If you want to become an astronaut, you put in the work. You put in the heart, the sweat, and the tears. You can do it.
I got a big old cardboard fridge box, and we turned it into a spaceship for me back in the day. Oh yeah, I think everybody wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah. Speaking of, you're not an astronaut, John, but you fly planes. So is that something you've always wanted to do?
No, well, kind of actually, yeah. So back when I was 14 years old, so this was about 11, 12 years ago, I had a family friend from church who took me up in his airplane, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I wanted to do it. And eventually, about a year ago, the stars aligned, and I was able to start taking lessons. Mm-hmm. And so I think I'll be doing my check ride like next month.
Nice.
So this is hard.
Yeah.
Getting a pilot's license is really hard.
Oh, I can imagine.
But once you have it, you never lose it unless you do something
really
bad.
Yeah, I would assume just like your driving license, is there some penalty you could get from like speeding? Like how does that work? Do you know?
If there's an accident, you have to tell the FAA and the NTSB.
Yeah.
And they'll decide what they're going to do with that. A lot of people I know, if they do get in an accident, they'll voluntarily give up their license. But it is treated like a privilege. They can just take it away.
It makes sense. That makes sense.
It does make sense, but nobody wants that to happen.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fly safe. So
Don't fly like Joshua Drive.
How do you balance that between work and classes and stuff? Is that I would assume you have a pretty busy schedule.
Yeah. So I mean, there's two parts to it. There's the flight part,
mm-hmm.
and then there's the ground school part. And ground school, that's just me sitting at home reading my textbook, answering test prep questions and all that stuff. I do that at night whenever I have time.
Yeah.
But I have the luxury of working for the state, and so they're very flexible with letting me off early to go do these flight lessons.
Yeah.
And so whenever I have a flight, I'll just leave and go to Sanford, and I'll go do that flight. And they're usually about 2 hours.
2-hour flight.
Yeah.
And these are always at daytime, right? Not really nighttime flying.
Yeah, most of them are during the day.
Safer.
You do have to do some night flights.
Mm-hmm.
It's very dark at night. Let me tell you what.
Yeah,
at night
it's dark.
It's dark. You can't see the horizon. All you can see are lights on the ground.
Yeah.
And so it comes to a point where you can't really tell how high you are unless you look at your altimeter.
Oh gosh.
If you don't look at your altimeter, you can be 10 feet from the ground and not know it. Because you can't see the ground.
That's great. What about if there's like a bright moon out one night? Does that
no?
Really, because you can't.
It's dark. It's pitch black.
That is crazy.
Yes.
I thought it'd be kind of scary.
Now my first time it was kind of it was
kind of spooky almost.
But you learn to trust your gauges.
Yeah. Yeah. How does that work with? Well, I guess with landing, the airstrip is lit up.
It is lit up.
In
some
fact,
airports,
like you should only trust your gauges, even if you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. Because the airplane can play tricks on you.
Yeah.
You can feel these forces on your body and think, "Oh, I'm on my side right now," but you're not.
Whoa. That's weird.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, because you can experience G's,
That's
multiple
the thing.
G's.
Yeah, the low G's, but
Yeah. Well,
what's the highest G do you think you would experience in the kind of flying that you're doing?
probably 2 G's.
2 G's.
Yeah.
That's still something.
That's still
The
something.
fighter jets, like they're getting 9.
Oh yeah,
Gs, right?
they're
9, 10.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
They're crazy. Yeah.
Now let's see what I wasn't really. I wasn't really there when you said what type of planes you fly. Are you flying propeller planes, or are you learning to fly like an airliner?
No, so I'll probably never get to that.
Or like small jet
when people
things?
start, they're typically flying single prop airplanes.
Okay, so
with tricycle wheels. So that's 2 wheels in the back and then a nose wheel in the front.
Okay.
If you want to do anything other than that, you have to have ratings for that. So an airplane with a tail wheel, you have to have a special rating for that. These super powered airplanes, you have to have a rating for that. Jets, you have to have a rating for that.
Yeah. That's just more and more hours up in the air, basically.
Well,
right? Or
yes, but it's not so much that it would dissuade you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want a jet.
Because I know you told me this one time that most of the instructors in flight school, their goal is to become airline pilots.
Chances are, if you're with an instructor, they're trying to become an airline pilot.
Because you have to have a ton of hours.
Because you have to have at least 1,500, and they're with you because they're building hours.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why.
Makes sense. So the reason you fly is just you don't see yourself ever going, obviously, for that, just to have just recreation.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoy computer programming. I don't want to stop doing that.
Yeah.
You could probably get a job in like aviation related programming if you ever wanted to.
No, that could be very lucrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is an option.
I'll tell you what. Programming.
I need to learn
something that's getting
I need
bigger.
to learn code.
It's gotten a lot bigger in recent times. And I know you said you go into work.
Yeah.
But you could do it from home, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had the option of working remotely, but I voluntarily started coming in every day.
It's nice to be able to go to a place to work. Because working at home is nice, but I feel like I don't know, something about waking up and knowing I got a job to go to, it motivates you.
Well, it's
kind of like online school as opposed to going to school.
Yeah, it helps to go see people in person. It doesn't help when your home becomes your workplace.
Yeah.
Nothing stresses you out like waking up and seeing your workplace.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, unless you're thinking about learning to code and then working remotely from Puerto Rico.
That is true. That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah,
I was just in Puerto Rico for a couple weeks, and I was thinking, what kind of job could you have where you buy a house somewhere and just live in Puerto Rico? What profession? And I immediately thought of what you do.
Yeah.
You could potentially buy a house in Puerto Rico, live down there. There's great internet there. You need internet, obviously, to code and to do that. And you can move there. I think you get lonely, though. As you said, you made a good point. Something about going to work and seeing people and that interaction. It's big. Because I feel like going to work is one of the biggest, that's when you go out in the world, It's where you go, you meet and converse with people. So if you took that all away, I feel like that'd be a sad life. I don't know.
It would. That's just me. I totally agree with you.
But, well, I mean, you'd probably have time to do stuff with people when you got done with your programming. You could, because don't you just? Does nobody else work regular hours? I know so few people who work hours. Is it like an hours per week thing, or is it like a day thing?
What, with programming?
Yeah.
I mean, people work 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask a lot of programmers, they'll tell you they don't work 40 hours a week, even though they're technically working 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of programmers will say, "Oh, as long as you get the job done."
So is it more of a just whatever, just job by job kind of thing? Is that why you're able to get off early? Would you say maybe?
Well, I'm able to get off early because the state is so flexible.
That's true.
I have tons of PTO, and they're very flexible with letting me make up hours.
Wow.
So
Joseph works for the state too. So we got two.
Yeah, but I don't
very
have
different fields.
I don't have flexibility or any of that really.
Very different fields. But yeah, so I guess that's one of the benefits to working in that part of the state.
Yeah.
Was that your first job in programming in that?
So it was my first really formal job.
Yeah.
Before this, I mean, of course, I was working with you at Chick-fil-A, but I was also working for the blue collar workwear company in New York, working on their website. That was really just me.
Yeah.
And that was hard. But I would attribute me being able to get my job at NC State to working that contract job.
Yeah. So that's something a contract that you how was it just a couple year contract or was it a job?
No, so the deal was they paid us a certain amount to make a brand new website for them, and then a certain amount every month to maintain and add new stuff to their website. And that was back in July of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when we started work on it. I really went hard on making that website. And yeah, it got finished a few months later.
Nice. So then that contract ends. And then you went straight from that to the job you're at now, or did you have another one?
No, so I mean, once the website was finished, they still paid us.
Yeah.
To maintain their website, which really isn't a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
And it was at that point that I got my job at NC State. And I was still maintaining their website on the side.
Are you still doing that now, or did you end that?
I'm doing it less and less. There's somebody else who's working with me who's doing most of the work.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm more of a consultant now.
Hey, at least, but you're still getting paid a little bit for that, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
That train
in the back. That's one thing where guys.
I don't think it'll come through that bad though.
Yeah, we had that one train. I know our last episode you watched. We were at his place and his neighbors had a party going on, so there was a lot of music in the
no. It wasn't just a party. It was a Mexican party. It's a whole nother level of partying. I'm pretty certain that they broke the complex rules by setting up this big old tent outside, and they literally, I think they just had recorded music, but there wasn't like a band, but it was just like a regular party. I don't know. I don't think anybody in the complex really cared to
but anyway, I don't think
mention it at all, but they were having fun out there.
It won't pick up that train.
But we were having fun too.
So you work for the state right now. Do you I know we're thinking far, but where do you see yourself staying with them as long as you can, or do you think of branching out to other companies or?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Isn't it true though? That usually you make more in the private sector as opposed to working for the state, right?
Yeah, when you're working for the state, you get paid less, but they give you more benefits and more flexibility, and there's less pressure on you. It's very laid back, but for most programmers, they like to job hop every couple of years.
Yeah.
And if you do that, if you play the game properly, you can make a lot of money in not such a lot of time. But if I want to do that, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel I guess you're at a point with programming, there's a dependency where you can always rely on that there will be another job if you're job hopping, right? If you're some of the jobs, because I feel if you're planning your future, can you just assume you're pretty safe in assuming that there will be jobs down the line?
Yeah, if you're a good engineer, there's going to be demand for you.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I'm a good engineer.
Oh, yes, I know.
So I rest easy at night.
Yeah. So if you ever wanted to, that you probably would have opportunities to leave the state and go to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, if you do that, you can do that, but. Mm-hmm. For people who go hard like that, it becomes their life.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, it's, I don't think I would be discontent with that, but I find myself wanting to be more well-rounded in doing other things like flying and, maybe have a family one day and playing an instrument. and all the rest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That because you say if you're someone who, I mean, it's good to work and stuff, but if that becomes your life, where it's just your whole, because it's nice to sort of kind of be able to switch off from that work mindset, right? To
Switch off the grind,
right? As you said, flying or maybe learning an instrument. But if you're constantly just going job to job, making as much. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's just I feel like you can get burned out quicker, maybe. I feel like you would.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are really into it don't get burnt
That's
out.
true. I feel like programming. I mean, I don't have any experience in programming, but doing this podcast, I've done a lot of editing, and I don't know if they're similar, but I know it's a lot of time, a lot of mental stress going on. So I feel like you're really working out your mind. Would you say the same with programming, or is it pretty just once you get good at it,
it's not tedious. It's a lot of problem solving.
Wow.
If you get really into it, you can lose track of time. Mm-hmm. You can lose track of where you
definitely
are. It's like you're entering this virtual world with text, and you're just solving problems. It's not tedious unless you make it tedious.
Yeah, that's cool. That keeps it fresh, and because I feel like there are a lot of jobs where it just becomes a routine, and it just gets old, and after a while. But in programming, if you get problems, I like problem solving, so maybe one day I'll become a programmer on the side. So that's my next question. Programming, if someone wanted to do it on the side, is that something easy, or is that something you really need to put in the hours? Can you make I'm not saying good money as like someone who does it full time, but can you do it on the side and make a little income depending on how good you get, I guess?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of programmers do stuff on the side.
Yeah.
And they can make good money from it. Even without much skill at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just make simple websites for people.
Yeah, especially in sound mean, but especially when they don't know that much about tech, and then you realize
you can take advantage of
it. No, not like that. Not like that. It's more like some people that know more about tech, they have a tendency to kind of want a lot of bells and whistles that aren't aren't necessarily necessary. Podcast. I'm just kidding. That's just a joke. But by the fact that we've been trying so hard to get all this stuff for the podcast and trying to balance between quality and simplicity. But anyway, a lot of people, a lot of small businesses and stuff, they just need kind of a normal kind of, a website that can handle just a few basic, functions. And there's so many people that don't know how to do that. And so I could imagine that just, setting up sites like that for people is actually pretty handy. Yeah. I don't mean to make it sound like you're taking advantage of anybody. I just mean there's a lot of people who really just need just a little something done for their website,
Yeah, I think most people can use Wix. They can use Squarespace or whatever they need.
I love those things.
Those services are great for what I would imagine most people use them for. Mm-hmm. It's the people who have really specific requests, like blue-collar workwear, that require custom software.
Yeah.
And that's where freelance developers really shine.
Yeah. And there's a high demand for that, would you say?
Given how much they're paid, yeah.
And I feel like the more we go into I feel like that industry is just going to get even bigger,
Oh yeah. It's only getting bigger.
Yeah.
That's where the trend is going.
It's the future, and some would say. Probably.
Everybody still thinks it's the future. Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree. You have things like the Metaverse being made.
Oh, we'll see how long Metaverse. Oh my gosh, the Metaverse is going to be... it's going to be a dystopia. They're going to ruin all
When you think about how much virtual reality can do already, and I remember it's insane the amount of technology that is out there. We were down in Puerto Rico. We were constantly using Google Maps, right, to find locations and stuff, and I remember thinking, just imagine what Google Maps and all will be like in a few years from now. How crazy, how much better it'll get,
Yeah. I think mapping software is is fully baked, but I do think augmented reality will get much better in the future.
Man, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like at the very least, what they're going to do is they're going to like, do all this metaverse stuff and do all this, augmented and like integrated reality and stuff. And they're going to like, I don't know, they're going to try to like gamify everything. They're going to try to make all the like serious work stuff kind of fun in this really honestly kind of condescending infantile way. It's kind of like, what corpo art is, right? Just like those awful blob people that they have on buildings, like, and it doesn't actually feel like fun and lighthearted. It just feels really it feels weirdly oppressive, like they're like trying to force you to be like fake cheerful when you're literally just coming in. Man, I'm just gonna come in, punch in my card, do my job, and get out so I can make dinner with my family.
Joseph is not a fan of the metaverse.
So yeah, and that's what they're gonna do with the metaverse. They're gonna like, I don't know, they're gonna turn it into this way to like, at least, if not using it to outright control people, they're going to use it to like just kind of falsely, kind of enforce this kind of false cheerfulness. I see your face turning red. I don't think you appreciate my.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, because my
face.
I can be kind of crazy sometimes.
Well, I would say that could be. I will say.
I mean,
I think the dangers of the metaverse is just the fact that people are just. So many people, you could escape reality, and I think that can be dangerous.
Yeah, definitely.
Or I think I know for a fact, being on devices, it's good to get fresh air, and not just live your life I would assume as a software developer, is that something you got to make sure you balance with? Or Joseph, do you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, that's not to say that I'm actually totally against virtual reality, because like, it
is the way of the future.
I've done some like virtual reality stuff. I think it's fun and sometimes I think it's like, it can be cool and fun, but I just think that knowing the way rich people are, it is going to be like, there's going to be good things that come out of it, but it is also going to be roundly and horrendously abused. That's all I'm saying.
Could be, yeah. But you got any comments on that, John?
Yeah. I haven't seen a compelling enough reason why I would want to use the metaverse.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that it abstracts reality, because I think we need to be living in reality.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't seem to be a tool to enrich my reality. It seems to be something to add on to distract me.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And I don't know. Will I use it? Will I be an early adopter? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'll be one to say I'll get a headset just so I can develop with it and tinker around with it. But to actually use it practically, I don't think so.
So is it, maybe I don't understand exactly what is it, but is it the thing is that you can put on this headset, whatever, and basically like live a completely different life in this virtual reality? Is that the goal, sort of?
It's it's really not that well defined.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not going to take off as well right now.
Yeah.
Unless
it
is well defined. Yeah. It's very vague. I think the common understanding is that it's a virtual world that somehow intertwines the reality where people can interact. Whether that's you and other people from around the world are interacting in the same room, and you can see your room, and they're kind of in the room with you virtually.
That is, it's interesting, because I feel like we're at an age where just on the internet where people interact so much online. And this is one step further where you actually can feel like you're literally in the same room with the person.
See, if they use like VR and augmented reality and metaverse and all that stuff, if they use it exclusively for what it should be for, gaming, I think that's fine. But I'm very concerned that they're gonna use it in like the work environment, and it's gonna, like many other technologies that should just be for fun, they're going to turn it into a slog. They're going to turn it into, once again, kind of like an intrusion into, I keep on whacking the mic stand, but more like an intrusion into reality instead of kind of, because like, video games are like escapism, but it doesn't really intrude into your reality. It's something you kind of, you go off here and do it, then you come back. Meanwhile,
it's like a movie.
With the whole metaverse thing, it's like, it's kind of, it's like...
Well, you can always take the headset off, right?
Not if they make it illegal to.
I think their intent is for you to have it on as long as possible.
I'm sort of joking.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
I feel like just the health aspects alone. If you're just stuck in your room with this, I mean, you're gonna forget to eat. You're gonna forget to do exercise.
Well, it's an abstraction of reality.
Yeah,
and it'll mess up your vision.
You can be a unicorn if you want.
Yeah,
and that's not real.
Exactly.
I have a feeling we might have been reading the same cyberpunk dystopia fiction, perhaps.
No, I talk about this stuff with my colleagues.
Yeah.
We're intently interested on where this is going.
Yeah. I am too. It's because as you said earlier, it's vague. When you ever hear the metaverse, it's like everyone knows about it, but they don't know what it is exactly. It's just something that, because Facebook's doing it, right? Mark Zuckerberg, is that his?
Yeah, that's why they call it the metaverse.
Yeah. So everyone knows sort of about it, but we'll see. I'm interested to see where it goes. Because I do think though we are headed in a place. Virtual reality is in a way the future. Things are getting more and more technologically advanced, and that's something you just have to cope with.
Yeah, I think it could be a really great tool, but I don't like how they're pitching it right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like it can be used to a lot of good. But
it could be.
Depends on whose hands it's in.
But
that's why
they're not going to.
Unlike someone I've talked about how I respect. I like Elon Musk. I have a maybe not as a person because I don't know what
I was going to think about him,
but just his work ethic.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
And what he's trying to do, like going to Mars and all this crazy stuff. The moon by 2025 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. What do you think of Elon Musk?
Well, I think he's really smart for the way he makes his business decisions. I mean, he's picking all these companies that seem like slam dunks. I think what I understand is he picks what he thinks is the future, and he tries to make companies that do that. Yeah. And eventually those companies are the future. SpaceX, we're going back to space. Electric cars, that is the future at this point. Neuralink. Yeah. The Boring Company, I think, is winding down. I haven't heard much about that.
The Boring Company? What is that exactly?
Don't they make tunnels? That's why they call it the Boring Company.
It's brilliant, yeah.
He literally called it like that because he's an absolute Chad Lad memer. He would literally give his company a joke name.
The idea is places like Los Angeles have terrible transportation. You can't get anywhere. These interstates go at 7 miles an hour. So the idea is you get in your car, and your car is shot through this tunnel really fast to the other side of town.
Wait, shot through the tunnel? Is it like
it's
on rails?
No, it has to drive itself. It's really just
but
a
it's
tunnel.
A lot quicker.
It has to be an electric car, and
that
the car is
itself.
guided. It's guided through the tunnel on its own, autonomously, at like 120 miles an hour, and you end up wherever your destination is.
I'm not the biggest fan of anything being automated unless because there's so much stuff that people have in their houses that are automated and cars that are automated. I think we could get to a place in the future where these companies and institutions and just big groups of rich fancy people that think they know everything, they can just turn off your access to anything that you want. And if everything in your house is smart, it's a smart device, that's not so good. They can literally be like, we're gonna shut down your refrigerator because of I don't know, a Reddit post, so it's just kind of like, well, it's a little
that is possible. Back to the
I'm
point.
Sorry.
Isn't
such a
that
buzzkill?
Could it just be really fast? Kind of like the subway, right?
Yeah. Well, the problem is, if there were a subway in a place like Raleigh here, and I take the subway to Wake Forest, okay, well, now what? I need a car to get around Wake Forest now. Yeah. So the idea is we'll just take your car to Wake Forest, and then you can drive around from there.
Other than the automation thing, that actually does sound very clever. It's like bridging between the concept of a car and a subway. It's like it's like I don't know. It's all one.
I would assume they would do that. Like if you go travel to like I go to Tennessee a lot to visit family. Would it be like that kind of thing? Where you go in a tunnel, or is it that too far at that point?
That's too far. You can use the interstate. Yeah. I think the point here is to get you rapidly from one place to another in a place that's congested.
That is quite fascinating, actually.
But have they ever done it yet? Or is it just all...
There's a demo. I think there's a demo somewhere in Los Angeles. It's like a 1 mile tunnel. But it's not really taking shape.
So of all his companies, that one maybe it's the dud.
Well...
know? Or
I don't know. I haven't heard about it.
For Elon Musk maybe is good for everybody
SpaceX
else.
And Tesla is so big that
it could be
outshine.
Just popular.
Else. That's one thing, though. Elon Musk. What was it, a couple years ago? He was considered the richest man in the world, or something.
He still is.
One thing, if you look at his net worth, right, it fluctuates a lot because how his companies are doing, right? Mm-hmm. So his net worth is what, some couple $100 billion, I think, at this point.
A few months ago, it was like last year was $300 billion.
Yeah, but it fluctuates a whole lot more than other rich people. It's like someone like Bloomberg or someone else.
Yeah, depending on how his companies are doing, which are volatile, by the way.
Yeah, So he puts a lot into it. I remember him saying he talks about how much he works. Like, and he's not all about the fancy, lavish lifestyle that other billionaires. He's trying to do good. Now you can agree or disagree on what his values are or whatever, but at least he has the work ethic.
Yeah, I think the work ethic is great. I think having a great work ethic is phenomenal. Oh, but absolutely. Also taking a day off to rest is also great.
I'm not sure if Elon Musk does that.
He has a family. He has to take some days off. You just don't see it.
I don't think he has a family anymore.
He does. He has some kids.
He has kids.
The one kid with
he's been divorced.
The name that's like.
I forgot.
His one son's name. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's a robot name.
It's like X or something.
Yeah, and see, I feel like that's kind of a point where I think that that's kind of a point where I think his kind of non-seriousness can kind of be a problem, because like it's one thing if you're just like memeing yourself, but if you give like your kid a name that's like guaranteed to get made fun of, that's not so good. I think that kid should probably whenever his name should be legally changed pretty soon.
Do you think that kid's gonna go to public school?
Probably not, but people will still make fun of you at private schools also.
Yeah. Well, I think... what if he has a private tutor?
Yeah, I don't know.
His private tutor is making
the point is, kids do have friends, even if they don't go to school. I had friends, and I was homeschooled, so I don't know.
Did you go to school, John?
I went to public school. I feel like I got a great education, too.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, I've had people
almost possible
don't feel that way sometimes. So do you think maybe I guess it depends on the public school, I guess.
Yeah.
Some are better than others.
I think some are going to be better than others. I know here in Wake County, the public schools are great. Mm-hmm. I know some instructors are not so great. Yeah. I feel fortunate to have some fabulous instructors who I felt like I got a lot out of.
That's good. Yeah, I was always homeschooled just because of you good, Joseph?
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I was just checking the cameras. You could have kept talking. I'm just making sure that we're rolling. I haven't heard any ominous beepings or anything, so I wanted to make sure that it's working.
I was homeschooled just because of the place we lived. I grew up in Africa. I've told you that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were just not many good schools around to go to. So we just homeschooled. And homeschool has its benefits. It has its downsides. I will say, I think one of the things I regret the most... Also, I lived in Africa, so I didn't have as many friends. What I mean by that is when you go to school or private school, public, whatever, you form a lot of friendships that you can that take with you, right? Where homeschool, you don't have that as many. And sometimes being homeschooled, it's hard to, depending on who you are, it's hard to fit in with people at some point. I feel like a lot of people who are homeschooled struggle with that.
You think so?
I think so, yeah. I think also it depends on... I do think there's a difference, though, in being a homeschooler and homeschooled. I think that's two different... Like,
wait, what?
There's a stereotype of a homeschooler. Have you heard of that? Like,
Mm-mm.
I know, like you're a typical homeschooler.
Well,
yeah,
but I mean
exactly.
that stereotype is
Yeah.
often true. I mean,
it is true.
look at me.
well, there could be, so what I mean by that, right? So if you met me and I did, do I look like someone who was being homeschooled, or could I have easily gone to high school?
You could have easily gone to high school.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but there are other people who it's very obvious, oh, this guy was homeschooled, this girl was homeschooled. You know?
How so? What do you...
their
clothes or
just the mannerisms. I don't know how reserved.
I've never been able to tell.
You haven't been able to tell? I don't know.
Well, I'm reserved, but I also talk too much.
I know. I haven't witnessed that myself, but a lot of people I've heard that stuff.
I don't know.
Homeschooler. But being homeschooled, talk about the benefits. I mean, the last couple of years of high school, when I worked at Chick-fil-A, I was able to work about 35 hours a week while doing full-time school. So I'm saving up money. I mean, that's something that you go to school, you can't do that.
Yeah, so I will attest to that. I think high school and, school in general acts a lot like a daycare.
Yeah.
I think you can accomplish what schools are teaching you in much less time than the day they take.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's why I was homeschooled. Well, that was one of many reasons why I was homeschooled. But yeah.
The mic is falling apart.
Yeah, what's making that do that, but ours aren't doing that?
It's the way I set it up, where the arm is stretched out a lot more.
So it's a skill issue.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, keep on going.
You're just gonna...
Your arm's gonna get tired.
Yeah, don't hold it like that. Just...
Anyway. If I fiddle with it too much, it's gonna make too much noise and feedback.
But your arm's gonna...
Don't worry about it. I'm a big strong man.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever you want to do.
That's another thing. Back to we've gone on a lot of tangents, which is good. But back to software developing. That kind of job, you're on a computer a lot, right? So is that, as you've done that for the last few years, is that working out? Is that something you focused on? Making sure you're getting good exercise as well? Or is that important to you? Or
it is important to me to some extent. I have a membership to the NC State Gym, Carmichael Gym.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I try to make an effort to go to that, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
Now, I used to go during the day, during the summer, but I've been trying to go in the morning.
Yeah.
Now. It's important. Yeah.
I agree though. It's hard to, again, I think that comes back down to motivation.
Yeah.
I have a gym membership, Planet Fitness, and I gotta say in the last month I've been out of town for,
I forgot
but
Planet Fitness.
Like twice. And I can afford that because it's only $10 a month, right? But it's just, it comes back to motivation. It's like whether you want to get off your lazy butt, get in the car and drive however far away it is, and go to the gym and work out.
Yeah, the driving part is annoying. I just work out in my apartment gym. I think if I ever move to a house with somebody, I'm gonna get weights to have somewhere in the house instead of getting a gym membership, because I usually work out really early in the morning, but my work also starts pretty early. And so I don't think that driving out someplace to go to a gym before work and then getting into work, I would not be able to make that swing time wise. So I just like to be able to just pop on over to my gym, get to the pump. And I do it pretty much every morning now. Usually the workouts aren't as long as I would like, but I think consistency is important.
I think the biggest thing about working out is just getting your heartbeat going for at least 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Strong heart. I mean, trying to get big muscles and all of that's fine. But
it's just very important.
It can be important, but it's not as important as just my dad, he's 50 something, and he works out every day. But it's all just his goal is just to get his heart going, his heart rate up for 30 minutes, just so that he does a lot of jumping jacks. Just he goes on fast paced walks or jogs. That's all you need, really.
Yeah, I admire his discipline for exercising every day.
Yeah, I do too. I joke with him. I say, "What? It's not a real workout. I hit the weights."
Well, you got to do cardio, and I'm ashamed to say I don't do as much cardio as I should.
I agree too. Sometimes because hitting the weights doesn't always get your heart rate up.
So I got to do it a lot.
If you're a fast-paced workout, but anyway, as we wrap this up, John, in this next year, do you have any goals? Are there any certain goals that you want to accomplish?
Yeah. Last year I made a goal, of course, to fly, and that's going to be accomplished. But also to learn some basic skills like to play an instrument, to draw, to learn a foreign language.
Well, you didn't mention drawing. I love drawing.
I have a philosophy that's kind of a story, but just to draw, to learn to play an instrument, a foreign language, I think those should be mandatory in schools. I think those are very basic human skills. But anyway, that's something I'd like to learn. But
I agree.
As far as tech goes,
drawing's useful.
There's new trends up and coming that I'd like to learn. And if you're in tech, if you do computer programming, it doesn't stop at just learning whatever you've learned when you started. You have to keep learning. You always have to learn. That's half your job is learning.
So you can keep up with the industry.
To keep up with the industry. And the industry changes all the time. There's always new technologies.
Yeah.
And if you get left behind, well, I mean, it's not good.
You're gonna start if you get left behind, you're gonna start getting less work. Because I feel like you need to be constantly sharpening your skills, right? Constantly staying up to date with what's going on. And back what you said about why you think it should be mandatory that you in school learn a different language, drawing. What was the other one? An instrument.
An instrument.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Those are, very basic skills. Yeah. Everybody in the world listens to music. Drawing is the best way to deliver an idea to somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a foreign language kind of teaches you how to think too.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like with the foreign language aspect, I feel like specifically America and maybe other places, I feel like that we struggle with I've been to the parts of the world where everyone at least speaks more than one language,
Yeah.
We're I mean, what's the joke? I heard a joke once, what do you call someone who knows 3 languages? Trilingual. Someone with 2 languages. Bilingual. Maybe someone with 1 language. American.
Yep.
Which is kind of true when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't blame Americans.
No,
I mean, we only have to speak English because that's all everyone speaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point in this country, learning a second language is really just a skill to be more well-rounded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a friend who goes, sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. But someone who just came to Chick-fil-A, he speaks 6 languages.
Wow.
He just got hired recently, and he's very, a lot of languages in the India region, Pakistan, all that stuff. 6. Just imagine being fluent in 6 languages. That'd be insane.
It sounds insane to us, doesn't it?
I know bits of other languages. I know a little Spanish. When I was in Africa, I learned a bit of that language, but far from fluent. But to be fluent in another language, I mean, it's cool. I mean, you can do it. It's about just putting in the effort, putting in the time.
You mean putting in the work, putting in the hours?
Have you heard that song, John?
No, I haven't.
It's about drive. It's about power.
Dwayne
We stay
Johnson.
hungry. We devour.
It's one of his rap songs he posted.
Is that? I think it's his only rap song. I don't know.
He didn't rap in it, but he was with other artists.
No,
Anyway.
he did rap in it. Never mind.
Well, I just heard the fans come on, so that probably means that it's gonna get a little noisy in the background. So that's a good time to. We've been going for close to an hour.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, John, I want to say thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
I really wish Josh you could have been here. I know he would have enjoyed it, but we wish him the best. And it's been good. I wish you nothing but the best in your flying goal. Your goal. You said it's your dream to fly. There, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, right? You're a month away, right? You said something about a month.
Well, something like that.
Close to that.
I'm getting very close. I think I'll have my check ride done in a month or so.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
you have to take me up sometime.
I'd love to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
but yeah, wish you nothing but the best. And your it's been a long day. Sorry, your coding and your software engineering. You'll have to show me how to do that sometime.
I'd love to.
All right.
Help us, jobless Zoomers learn to code.
Alrighty. It's been the Hidden Dagger Podcast. Y'all have a good week.
And learn to code.